Resolution meeting tonight. I'm so excited to be here with all of you. I'm Rebecca Lamort, and I'm running for New York City Council in Manhattan's 5th District. I'm super fired up, and I'm excited to learn about the candidates we're endorsing tonight, and I'm super excited to see Maya Wiley, Jumaane Williams. Drop in the chat where you're joining us from. I'm zooming in from Yorkville, but where are you in New York? Let me know. And who are you excited to see tonight? We have so many great candidates. There's so many people fighting for our progressive values, fighting for housing, fighting for healthcare, fighting to change policing, fighting to just make sure every New Yorker has the resources they need. I'm proud to be a part of that process as a candidate, but who are you excited to hear from? Let me know. Drop it in the chat. And also, while you're zooming in and waiting for us to kick it off, think about becoming a member of Our Revolution. Right now, for as little as $5 a month, you can become a member of Our Revolution to help us keep the fight going to to elect true progressive Democrats here in New York. Oh, I see my neighbor, Sarah. Hi, Sarah from Yorkville. We were just out in the field together canvassing. Thanks for zooming in. I'm super excited to have you here with us. Who else is joining? Anyone on the phone, maybe? If you're on the phone and you also want to become a member, hit *3 to speak with an operator. And if you're here now waiting for us to kick it off and also want to become a member, go to ourrev.us/2021 member, and you can join for as little as $5 a month. Who's fired up? Who's ready to go? I cannot wait to hear from Maya Wiley. She's one of my top mayoral candidates. I can't wait to hear from Tahani Abushi. We were just out together canvassing last week. I cannot wait to hear from Brad Landry, Jumaane today. How great was that? I saw we won our afternoon game. Any other Mets fans here on the line? If you're a Yankees fan, don't tell me at all. I don't want to know that. All right, who else is here with us? Who else is here right now? We have just 2 more minutes, and then we're going to kick it off and hear from some amazing progressive candidates. I am so fired up. I am so ready to go because guess what? I am sick, I am tired, and I can't take it anymore of this centrist politics. And guess what? All of us together, when we fight together, we win together. So we are going to win, and we're going to elect some progressive candidates this year. We have such a huge election coming up, so I hope everyone's registered. I hope everyone is ready to go. Who else do we have? Oh, we got the Bronx in the house. BX here. Amanda Farias is in the house. Oh, what's going on? I see my council candidate colleague, Billy. Hey, Billy. Fellow Yorkville resident. Oh, what's going on? We have someone from Hell's Kitchen. Hello, Hell's Kitchen. You also have some great food over there. Who else? Oh, hey, Lou Grouper from our fellow UES Progressives. I'm so excited to have you here. I see Kathy from Manhattan. This is amazing. I also see a shout out for the Knicks. I'll allow it because it's not the Yankees, so that's totally acceptable. All right, everyone, we have one more minute, and then we're going to kick it off. Who's excited? Can you tell that I'm excited? Because I really am to be here with all of you tonight. Thank you so much for taking time to join us on this Thursday, because this election is so important. We're electing a mayor, we're electing a comptroller, we're re-electing Jumaane Williams, and we're electing 35 new council members. And all together, we can make sure that we're electing the right kind of true blue Democrats. We're going to fight for our progressive values all together. Who else do we have here? Who else is joining us? We have just 1 more minute. And again, if you're on the phone, press *3 so you can speak with an operator to be a part of the conversation, to become a member. We'll be dropping a link in the chat later and speaking more about our membership drive. But again, for as little as $5 a month, you can help us continue bringing about these progressive values through elections, through legislative campaigns, through so many amazing things. All right, I see it's 7:02 on the dot. That means we're ready to kick it off. Who's excited to get things going? Because when we fight together, we win together. So now I'm going to pass it off to the amazing Our Revolution's Anna Marta Vishki. Anna Marta, take it away.
All right, well, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Rebecca. This is our big New York City endorsement rollout call. I am Anna Marta Vishki. I organize with Our Revolution. Our Revolution is pleased to be hosting this huge call with our local grassroots coalition, the New York Progressive Action Network. As you know, electing champions, progressive champions, is a cornerstone of Our Revolution's mission, and so is our inside-outside strategy. We are mobilizing our members in the streets to demand real change, and we are electing progressives who will fight for that change and champion our policies inside the halls of power. The candidates you will hear from on this call tonight will fight for progressive priorities like affordable housing, criminal justice reform, and so many others. And we are proud to partner with NIPAN in endorsing them. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our co-hosts for tonight's call, two amazing local leaders. Brian Mangan is an attorney who was a Bernie 2020 delegate candidate and is a founder of Upper East Side Progressives, which is a chapter of NIPAN. And Naomi Zevda is a professor of health and economics at City University of New York and chair of the Healthcare Committee of the Grassroots Action Network, also a chapter of NIPAN. And Naomi will introduce our first speaker tonight. Take it away, Naomi.
Thank you for having me. And Rebecca, I hope that energy goes nowhere. She's the most amazing hype woman ever. I'm super excited to bring up our first guest here, Brad Lander. He's running for New York City Comptroller. That's the person who counts money, as far as I understand it, and scrutinizes where our money is going and where our budget is going. So we need a progressive in there to alert us to what's going on and how we can do it better and how to get the money to the places it needs to be to build the city that we want. He's the co-founder of the City Council, New York City Council's Progressive Caucus, and successfully pushed legislation to protect freelancers and fast food workers, to expand affordable housing, and to end stop and frisk. Brian has been endorsed by Our Revolution and the New York Progressive Action Network. We're so glad to have you, Brad Lander.
Thank you so much, Naomi. I'm really hyped up. Thank you, Rebecca, for building our energy. Thank you, Anna Marta. Thank you, NIPAN and Our Revolution. I'm Brad Lander. I'm running for New York City Comptroller, and I'm so proud to have your support because budgets are moral documents, and we need a just recovery from the COVID pandemic that works for everyone. All that time in the pandemic when we've said, we see the way that this COVID crisis has shined a spotlight on systemic racial and economic and gender inequities. Well, on the other side of it, are we going to do anything about it? Are we going to build a city and an economy that is more genuinely just and inclusive and equal? Because of the work of Our Revolution and NIPAN and Bernie in 2016 and 2020, the dial is moved on what people expect from government. And so now the question is, for New York City, are we going to live up to it? And so far, we really aren't. Let's be clear. We could make sure that gig workers, like the food delivery drivers who bring our food when we order it, have paid sick leave, have minimum wages, and yet we're not doing it. We could, like our brothers and sisters in Austin and Seattle and Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, begin to reinvent policing, to invest in communities. And yet this year, the mayor is proposing to put $200 million more into the NYPD and not to get cops out of schools and not to have trained mental health workers be the folks who are responding. And we're still in our so-called affordable housing policies, putting 80% of our subsidies to for-profit private developers to fight with about how affordable the housing will be, instead of building limited equity co-ops and community land trusts and the supportive and affordable housing that our communities and our people truly need. But we can change that right now. We can change that with this election by electing a mayor and a public advocate and an amazing set of city council members. And yes, a controller who says, we're going to center communities, we're going to center justice, we're going to demand a city government that builds a just recovery and that shows up for all New Yorkers. So that's why I'm so proud to be supported by Our Revolution and NIPAN, by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Jamal Bowman, some of our incredible champions in Washington, because they know that budgets are moral documents, that a just recovery is within our reach, that all workers deserve protections and dignity and equal pay, that we can build a city with affordable housing, with safe communities, with racial justice, and with equal justice for all. So I'm hyped up. I'm excited. I couldn't keep my my hype quite as strong as Rebecca through my entire remarks, but it is the responsibility of the controller to do those audits, to dig in, to make sure that we're really spending in ways that are consistent with our values. So I'm going to keep my hype up, not just for my talks to NIPAN and Our Revolution, but through every one of those audits and every one of those budgets. Thank you very much for being partners. I'm so excited by this whole slate, and I look forward. We've got 26 days to pound the pavement and make sure we win for all our candidates. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you very much, Brad. And I thought your energy was excellent.
It's only by comparison to Rebecca that I'm judging myself.
I know, right? We're all just doing our best. So it's my distinct honor to welcome our next guest, Maya Wiley, who's running for mayor of New York City. Thank you, Maya, for coming. We're so proud to have you here. She's a lifelong activist, civil rights lawyer, and nonprofit leader. As counsel to the mayor, she delivered for New York City on civil and immigrant rights, women and minority-owned business contracts, universal broadband access, and more, you name it, right? And in the 5 years since leaving City Hall, she's held police accountable as the chair of the Civilian Complaint Review Board. Tonight, we're proud to announce that Our Revolution is joining NYPAN in endorsing Maya Wiley for mayor. So welcome, Maya, and congratulations.
Our Revolution. I could not be more humbled and excited to have this endorsement, to follow my dear friend Brad Lander, because you all, look, Our Revolution has been fierce and fabulous when it comes to making sure that it is our people who are put first, from Medicare for all to making sure that corporate interests don't become what dominates our country and our communities. And this is at stake right now in this New York City election. And so to have the support of Our Revolution at a time when we are fighting to make sure that we have a moral budget, a budget that invests in our people, like our 750,000 New Yorkers that don't have health insurance. I support for single payer and support legislation out of Albany, but I'm also not going to wait as mayor. I'm going to make sure we're using the powers of the city and its resources to get folks insurance, even those who may not have papers, because that is not the point. And the other thing we have to do, and we're seeing this right now, as a candidate standing up for mayor of this city that says we will be free and safe from police violence, that we must invest in our communities to prevent what ails us. And that also requires transferring $1 billion from the New York City Police Department's bloated budget, just as a starting point, so that we can have mental health crisis response, so we can have trauma-informed care in our schools, so that we can make sure we're doubling the number of summer youth employment programs. Because what safety means in our cities for our Black and brown people, and for all our people, including those exercising First Amendment rights to protest, is that they will not be subject to police abuse, but what they will get is dollars, investments in a bright future. And I've got many plans, including New Deal New York. That is a plan that, yes, a new deal that says we are going to take public dollars and create jobs with our public dollars, but jobs that build things we need built, like affordable housing we can actually afford, not relying on real estate developers. I don't take money from real estate developers or from lobbyists or from fossil fuel companies, none of that. This is all about people. And that means our jobs also have to be created as good high road jobs, but doing things we need done in the city. I'm not going to go on with all my plans. I just want you to know why I'm so excited to have this endorsement, because of what you and the mission represents. And this is not a moment, it's a mission. And so, look, I want to make sure you all, you heard Brad, right? 26 days out. That's how long we've got. It is a sprint. It is exciting. Voters are just turning their attention to this race. It's all about getting out the vote. I want you all to drop in the chat, what is your best strategy for organizing and getting out the vote in New York City, in our neighborhoods and communities? Let us know. But I'm also asking, look, the way we are going to win this is every dollar counts. Anything you can do to get on the phone and help us get those dollars. Every single door knock counts. Putting our feet in everyone's streets, saying that there is a way to have a transformational city government that partners with our people and puts our people first. And this is the opportunity. This is what we need. This is what I ask you for. Help us. We're going to drop in the chat MayaWileyForMayor.com, which is where you can sign up to volunteer. If you can help dial for dollars, you can help text bank, get the message out. But this race right now is about the nation's largest city having its first civil rights attorney, having its first mother is first Black woman, but in a city that can help lead the national agenda, because it is our revolution. So thank you.
Thank you, Maya.
Thank you so much. They were saying that this mayoral race felt like it was so far away for so long, and now it feels like it's way too soon. It is happening fast. So thank you. You have our full support, and please drop those links, and we're gonna join up and sign up for you as soon as we can.
Thank
you. And I'm glad you brought up the single payer legislation. Y'all know the New York Health Act. Here is an action alert. The New York Health Act would be no deductibles, no copays, no networks. All care is free for all people. That bill is currently in the legislature with majorities co-sponsoring in the Senate and the Assembly. Now, the only problem is that the leaders don't want to bring it to a vote. So call Andrea Stewart-Cousins. She is the Senate Majority Leader, and she is the reason that we have not gotten it through committee and gotten it to the floor for a vote. Y'all, we could have a real implementation, like a manifestation of the kind of vision that Bernie, set for us when we created our revolution. Medicare for All was a twinkle in his eye at one point, and now we are truly one step away. We've got just a few more weeks on the New York Health Act in the state legislature session, and also just a few more weeks on electing a whole brand new New York City government. So there is a lot of reasons for us to be getting active and getting involved right now. All that change is going to be local. The change is going to happen locally first, and New York has an opportunity to really be a true leader nationally on that. In Canada, it was one province that started Medicare for All there. So we get the opportunity to do that here. And all of our progressive champions in the city council and in the DA's office, and as controller, one of the ways that somebody who is controller can help us doing things like Medicare for All for the state is by showing how much money the city could save if we were to move to a system like that, a single payer Medicare for All system. Because we spend a lot of money on city employees' healthcare. Now they're trying to turn the retirees to Medicare Advantage and privatize it and put all these, all the hoopla in the way. We don't want to privatize things. We want to solidify things. We want people to get what they need, right? So we can have powerful people in city government who can act as really powerful advocates for all of these things that we need.
Thanks, Naomi. So we're going to move on now to other candidates who have won the Our Revolution endorsement that we're super excited to announce tonight. So as you heard earlier, I'm a co-founder of Upper East Side Progressives, which is the Our Revolution and NYPAN chapter for, well, you guessed it, the Upper East Side of Manhattan and Yorkville. And we are proud to have co-endorsed two principled and accomplished local organizers in Billy Freeland and Rebecca Lamort for City Council in District 5. And we're super excited tonight to announce that Our Revolution and NYPAN have joined us in endorsing these two progressive champions we are going to hear from right now. So first up is Rebecca, and she's a disabled New Yorker, union member, labor advocate, and community organizer that represents unionized construction workers. Her campaign is about empowering everyday New Yorkers through housing, disability, economic, and racial justice, and I'm proud to welcome her. Take it away.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. So a little less energy right now because I am so humbled to be receiving the endorsement of Our Revolution and NYPAN tonight and to fight shoulder to shoulder with these progressive giants, with the Upper East Side progressives, to bring about the real revolutionary change that we need here in New York City. As Brian said, I'm a disabled New Yorker, a proud union member. Shout out to my brothers and sisters in Labor's Local 79, a longtime labor advocate and a community organizer living here in Yorkville. And I'm proud to be fighting for housing, disability, economic, and racial justice, because I firmly believe that all of us together, we can bring about an affordable, accessible, and equitable community and city for every New Yorker. So it's not just about surviving anymore, but thriving. It's about empowering everyday New Yorkers, not people up at the top anymore, because right now, the paradigm of power in New York City government is all about helping the 1% and doing it at the expense of the 99%. That's why we have a housing crisis. That's why our transportation system is deteriorating. intimidating and is inaccessible. That's why our schools need funding. That's why policing goes unchecked with the brutality on our streets. That's why we have to come together as progressives to fight for the values that we want to see change, to fight together and win together. And I'm so proud to be a part of this movement, to fight with you, to be joining such progressive powerhouses here like Maya Wiley, like Brad Lander, like Jumaane Williams, like all of these council candidates being endorsed tonight, my co-endorsee, Billy Freeland. I'm so honored to be receiving this with you here tonight because I know that together we can bring about this change for New York and long-term completely shift the paradigm of power, change the conversation, be sure that all of us have the resources we need to just not survive, but thrive, as I said. So thank you so much. I'm so excited to add NIPAN and Our Revolution to my progressive slate of endorsements. You'll be joining Cynthia Nixon. You'll be joining the Upper East Side Progressives, New York Communities for Change, Citizen Action, today the Grassroots Law Project, and so many other amazing unions and groups that just realize that we can bring about this fight for justice all together. So thank you again. I'm honored to be here before you, and a little less energy than usual as Hype Woman because, again, I'm so humbled to be receiving this support. It is such an amazing honor. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Anna Marta. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, George. Thank you, Billy, for being a great colleague in this race. And now let's get out there and win, everybody, because what do? When we fight together, we win together. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Rebecca. And we are very proud of you as well. And now to introduce the second part of our Upper East Side and Our Revolution co-endorsement, it's going to be Billy Freeland. And Billy is a progressive activist, officer of his community board, and lawyer who has represented clients in civil rights, LGBTQ rights, prisoners' rights, and housing repair cases. He's running to decarbonize, decarcerate, and desegregate New York City. Welcome, Billy, and congratulations.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Our Revolution. Thank you, Rebecca. It is an honor to be in this with you. We've been working together on the community board. We're fighting the fight here in District 5, and it's always an honor to be alongside you. This is an especially humbling endorsement. It wasn't that long ago. One of the last things I did before the pandemic was my fiance, Chelsea, and I, we drove up to New Hampshire in the cold of February, and we knocked doors in Concord and Bow, New Hampshire for Bernie Sanders. People welcomed us into their homes because we were united in wanting to build a better country. And now in 2021, we're in this city council race. And I think what many of us are trying to do is build a better city. Because what does it mean to fight for our country if we can't get our cities right? If we can't fight for, as Brian said, what I'm fighting for, to decarbonize, decarcerate, and desegregate our city. You know, what I bring to this is not just serving my community on the community board, but you know, I'm a lawyer. I've been in the trenches. I've represented people in need. I've represented clients, public housing tenants in need of more than 40 repairs to their apartments. I had a client prosecuted under the Walking Wild trans ban, which has thankfully now been repealed, but was yet another example of the systemic racism in our courts. And what I'm trying to tell the folks in my neighborhood, which ranges from Midtown East to the Upper East Side, East Harlem, and Roosevelt Island, is that we've got to do our part to desegregate, decarcerate, decarbonize our city. And why do we have to do that? Because if you think about the district I'm running in, if you walk one block from the Upper East Side to East Harlem, from 96th Street to 97th Street, life expectancy drops by 9 years. If you think about what we're spending every night to incarcerate someone on Rikers Island, $1,200, that's $429,000 per year just to lock someone up. Not to mention how dehumanizing it is, not to mention how it doesn't make us any safer. So my belief is that what we need in this next city council, we don't know what we're going to get for mayor. You know, hopefully we get a real progressive, but we don't know. What we will need is a progressive city council to hold the next mayor, no matter who it is, accountable. The next mayor accountable to make sure that we are desegregating our schools, to make sure that we're building genuinely affordable housing, that we're doing what I'm doing, which is rejecting real estate money, rejecting money from lobbyists and saying we're going to actually build social housing, something that Brad Lander has been such a great champion of. I'm proud to be fighting for climate justice. Because if we're not decarbonizing our buildings, if we're not decarbonizing our streets with buses and bike lanes and getting away from this car culture, then what are we really doing to fight climate change? And we've got to confront the fear mongering we see on the front page of the New York Post and on Fox News every day about crime in this city. Because the reality is, what have we been defunding? We've been defunding summer youth employment. We've been defunding public health and mental health and education. That's a problem in this city. So I'm honored to be supported now by Our Revolution, joining the Jewish Vote, Black Lives Caucus, Political Arm of Black Lives Matter, New York City Kids PAC, the Met Council on Housing, Indivisible Upper East Side, and so many more. in this fight. And I hope you will join me. If you're interested, please visit billyfreeland.com. I'd be honored to have your support. Let's go win this thing. Thank you, Our Revolution.
Well, thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to have all these awesome candidates so far on the call. We are taking now just a brief intervention to ask that you consider becoming a member of Our Revolution tonight if you are not already. Your membership will allow us to continue to support candidates like Billy, Rebecca, Brad, and others that you'll hear from tonight. We will continue to hold forums like this where you hear from progressive champions and help us elect these progressive champions, and where we can shine a light on the issues that we all care about. As little as $5, we'll get your personalized membership card in the mail and a little note with our gratification of supporting our movement. You can sign up at the link in the chat, or if you are on the phone, because we know that there's so many people on the phone. We dialed out to about 20,000 people today. So if you're on the phone, press *3 and an operator will take your information and you can sign up that way as well. The link to sign up is ourrev.us/2021 member, and I'll put the link in the chat as well for you. So now back to the candidates.
Thanks, Santa Marta. And everyone, please join me in being a Sustaining Our Revolution member. It's really great. And you can see the amazing work that they do, bringing attention to candidates that you might not know and resources and all of that to them. So it's wonderful work. So next, I'm going to hand things off to George Albaro, who is truly one of the godfathers of progressive organizing here in New York City and New York State. George is a former Legal Aid Society attorney and one of the co-founders of the Working Families Party, and then later co-founder of NIPAN. So welcome, George, and take it away.
Thank you. Godfather, I don't know, but I'll take the rest of it. Thank you so much, Brian and everyone. So they picked a guy from Brooklyn who went to Brooklyn Law School and Brooklyn College and lived in Brooklyn all his life to introduce who we hope will be the next borough president of Brooklyn, Antonio Reynoso. Antonio is presently in the council representing the 34th district, which is parts of Bushwick, Williamsburg, and Ridgewood. He's running for Brooklyn Borough President. And if there's one thing that progressives can agree on, we don't agree on a lot of things, but there's one thing that we could all agree on, that he is the progressive candidate in this race. And he has the support of the progressive movement. He's finishing his second term. He's really committed to affordable housing, which is his big issue. And he will be a wonderful, wonderful borough president. So I'm really proud and happy to introduce Antonio Reynoso and announce that Our Revolution is endorsing him for Brooklyn Borough President. Antonio.
Hey, thank you so much, George. Thank you so much. And George, you're Brooklyn. So you will be hearing my kids in the background.
Okay.
So I apologize for that, but I just want to say thank you so much to Our Revolution for the endorsement. George, we already know that Brooklyn is the center of the universe, and now it's just making sure that everyone else figures it out. I see you, Rebecca. Congratulations to arguably the second greatest borough in New York. But look, what we're here to do is do a little bit of the work. I want to make sure people know that the Marty Markowitz style cheerleading is going to happen. I'm going to make sure that people know we have the best cheesecake, the pizza, the bagels, you name it, we have the best of it. The Brooklyn Bridge belongs to Brooklyn. Making sure that people understand that is extremely important. But there's other things we need to do. We also need to plant the flag as the progressive capital of this country. We don't need to look to European countries or Seattle or San Francisco to tell us how we should be doing things here. Folks should be modeling the behavior that we set forth here. The talent in Brooklyn can do just that. And that's what I want to make sure I can do as borough president. And I'll give you just some examples of the things that we're looking to do is first, outfit every single public hospital in Brooklyn with a state-of-the-art birthing center. And then use that money to leverage that midwives be at the center of the work that's happening during childbirth so that we can deal with the grossest inequity that exists in our city and specifically in Brooklyn, which is Black women's health. We need to start dealing with that in a meaningful way, and we should attack that through the funding that we get from the Brooklyn Borough President's Office. Affordable housing, let's stop building 1, 2, or 3 towers in mostly poor Black and brown districts and talk about how we get out of this hole by centering people and communities. It shouldn't be a developer-driven process. It should be a community-driven process. We should be able to dictate what the future of our neighborhoods look like, and we can do that in a way that builds responsible development and really targets 100% affordable housing, and affordable for whom? Affordable for the people that need it, which are the poorest members of our borough. And our end of education. We need to make sure we reopen our schools safely, but that we pay attention to the social and emotional trauma that existed over the last year. Our teachers are hurting, our students are hurting. We need to help both of them. We need to make sure we have enough guidance counselors and that we have enough people supporting our young people. But also our teachers need smaller class sizes so they could pay more attention to individual students and we could catch up on this year of lost instruction. I want to thank you all for endorsing me. Thank you so much to our revolution. I love you all, and spread love. It's the Brooklyn way. Peace, and let's go Nets and Mets.
So our next candidate is dear to my heart because it's my council district, the 39th district, which is presently represented by Brad Lander. We know how to pick them, and Shahana Hanif is running to succeed Brad in this seat. She's a very interesting person. From her parents come from Bangladesh, and there's a large community of Bangladeshi in the 39th district. And she's been working for Brad as an organizer and community engagement representative for this community. And she is, I discovered, I just met her like a year ago, didn't know much about her, and just discovered that she's one of the most amazing organizers. There's a lot of people who run for office who have good politics, but very few who have great organizing skills. And Shahana is one of them. She has so many plans for this district. I'm very, very happy and proud to introduce Shahana Hanif, candidate in the 39th district, and Our Revolution, NIPAN, Working Families Party, you name it, she's been endorsed by it. Shahana.
Hello. Thank you, George, so much. Good evening, everybody. I'm Shahana Hanif, running for City Council in the 39th district, my home, George's home. This includes Kensington, where I was born and raised, Borough Park, Windsor Terrace, Park Slope, Carroll Gardens, Cobble Hill, Gowanus, and the Columbia waterfront. I'm committed to ushering in a anti-racist feminist model of governing. I could be our city's first South Asian and first Muslim woman elected. And of course, in my district, I could be our district's first woman city council member. Our revolution, thank you so much, understands the urgency around electing leaders rooted in multilingual, cross-class, interfaith, intergenerational organizing and lived experience. And that is what I've been doing for over a decade. And it's what I want to bring to the city council. We need organizer electeds. This has been our campaign as well, bringing in folks from every corner of this district so that we all go to City Hall. As I mentioned, the 39th is my home. It's where I've been fighting, excuse me, day in and day out to survive. I'm a lupus survivor and have navigated our city's broken healthcare system and inaccessible transit system. And it is through collective community power and care that I've showed up as a tenant organizer at an organization called CAB in the Lower East Side, organizing public housing residents across the city. And then recently, of course, as a staffer in current council member Brad Lander's office. He is a mentor of mine, and I'm excited to have larger tools to continue the fight. I gotta give a shout out to Bernie Sanders. When Bernie Sanders ran for president in 2016, It captured the imagination of a populace exhausted by our current inequities. And whereas before, concepts like decarceral abolitionism, Medicare for all, and free college education were discussions relegated to movement spaces, they're now part of mainstream discourse. And although we should celebrate this victory, we must also recognize that we are fighting for change within a capitalist framework. This is why our campaign's theory of change seeks to fundamentally transform how the electorate engages with the elected. Over the last year and a half on the campaign trail, we've blossomed into a community-focused and community-driven campaign. Policies are driven by local grassroots organizers, parent leaders, community folks, young people, and above all, those directly impacted. I'm being held accountable to them. The movement accountability piece is essential to me. And I really look forward to creating a city council that is rooted in co-governance and participatory decision-making. So rather than the old model of access and proximity, we have to practice a new model of transparency, accountability, and collective power building. So we're 26 days away from Election Day, which is wild. And our multilingual, cross-class, interfaith, intergenerational support is reaching the masses in the 39th district with endorsements from over 45 progressive groups and elected officials like Working Families Party, the Jewish Vote, the Nurses Union, Principals Union, Muslim Democratic Club, the Sierra Club, Sunrise. And I'm so excited to go to City Hall together. So let's win. We will drop links in the chat to get involved. Thank you all so much. I am grateful and I look forward to causing more and more ruckus together.
Okay, thank you, Shahana. That's really great. So now it is my pleasure to introduce someone I've introduced many, many times before, and it never gets stale. And I'm always really humbled and honored. If to use a baseball analogy, we have a lot of progressives, and the person that they're trying to live up to, the Babe Ruth, if you will, of the progressive movement is Jumaane Williams. You know, Jumaane, when he was first ran for council, when he ran for the lieutenant governor, no one thought he had a chance. He almost won that race. And then he won the public advocate. The one thing about Jumaane is he is the soul of the progressive movement. And I just can't say enough about the courage and the principled nature of Jumaane. He's an inspiration for all of us. He's hard to get at because he's so involved in so many struggles, but it's like a butterfly. You got to catch him at the moment, but we got him, and I'm really proud to introduce Jumaane Williams.
I want you to introduce me everywhere all the time. That was a hell of an introduction. I'm not sure it's all true, but I appreciate you saying it. I've never been compared to Babe Ruth before in my life. So that's a first. I'm actually honored to be here with all of the people who are here. A lot I've already endorsed, some haven't, but I know this is a great group of folks. So thank you, George, and thank you, Brian, and OR and NIPAN were the reason everybody's trying to be a progressive now. They were a progressive before. It was a popular thing to say. I heard our governor say that he was a progressive Democrat. I think it was yesterday. So that was very interesting. But I appreciate all those good words. Just again, everybody who's here, and I'm proud to have been in the room after our guy Bernie didn't make it. When NIPAN was created. And so I'm proud to have endorsed him twice and really trying to push this conversation in a way. We went from kind of just a couple crazy folks to no longer crazy. People are responding to the political wins that people on this call have made. I was honored to be endorsed by NIPAN, by Our Revolution, for lieutenant governor, for public advocate, and I'm proud to have it again Our race hasn't gotten that much attention. And honestly, I feel like we may be okay, but you can't take anything for granted. And that's just the truth. And every law enforcement union has endorsed our opponent, actually, one of our opponents, which doesn't sound like anything, but with independent expenditures, they can just throw up as much money as they want in the last 2 weeks. So we have to watch out for that. Last 2 weeks, they can spend as much money as they want. Somebody gets thrown up on TV. So we just want to keep people mindful that it ain't over till it's over. And we need to have someone there in that office. I think a lot of us are concerned about a particular candidate who could become mayor. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but you have to have someone there who is pushing back, because we don't want to go back to normal, because we know normal didn't work for folks. And so we want to get back to better than normal. We want to make sure that people understand when someone says defund the police, you don't tell people how to express their trauma. You take that trauma and you make something out of it, and stop pretending that defund police means defund public safety. And we have to have a real discussion about what public safety means. It's a hard conversation to have when we're at historic lows. I always remind folks, in 2019, we were at historic lows of gun violence and murders, almost unsustainable. But the rhetoric was the same. Now, data means nothing if you're a victim of crime. So I always want to remind people of that. It means absolutely nothing if you're the victim, but we have to use it to know where we are. The only difference between 2019 and 2021 was a huge pandemic, and we see spikes happening all across the country. And when you have to have people who are not going to use fear and really address the problems at hand, because everybody wants to be safe and everybody can. And the Public Advocate's Office, I think, is a great way to push that, because people who are experts at using fear to spread policy are trying to do it again. So I'm hoping to have everyone here on here support. I'm excited to be here with this crop of leaders and people pushing the progressive movement, the real progressive movement. I think we also mean people who will push back on establishment. I think that's one of the definers also, because I know that people are trying to water down that progressive word. So I appreciate the time. Appreciate you, George, very much. Appreciate Brian. Appreciate everybody here. Peace and blessings to everyone. Love and light to you all. Please take some time for yourself. We've had a massively traumatic year, and I need everybody to understand it's okay to not be okay. Take some time for yourself. Talk about it with your friends. Get some professional help if you need it, but don't try to ignore your feelings. We'll get through this together. Peace, everyone.
Thank you so much, Jumani. So we're going back to Naomi and the Bronx.
Yeah, so I'll take it away. Thank you so much, Jumani. I think that, just having his wisdom out there advocating for the people, it's exactly where we need him to be. And so definitely ranked number one. I'm really happy to be introducing our next candidate, Tahani Abushi, for district attorney in Manhattan. She's a respected progressive attorney who has demanded fair treatment of New Yorkers from all backgrounds, a longtime ally in Black Lives Matter, a board member of the New York Civil Liberties Union, and she co-led the legal team at JFK in the fight against Trump's Muslim ban. She is running to transform our criminal justice system, and I am so excited to announce our Revolution and NYPAN's endorsement of Tahani.
Thank you so much. It's really such an honor to join the ranks of such progressive voices. I have been humbled throughout this entire campaign to learn of the giants like George Albaro here on the call that provided not only this platform, but an unequivocal and unapologetic way of advocating for progressive values that bring the voices that have been pushed in the shadows of society front and center. And that's what this race is about. We know that this is a powerful office, one where the decisions are made that impact communities of color, and one that has closed the door on our communities for having a seat there. And so we are in a historic moment in our society where power is being driven by the will of the people. We are unapologetic in our demands, and we need to start electing leadership that has lived experience of those that are impacted by this very office. And so I'm excited to have the endorsement of Our Revolution and NIPAN, again, to be sharing the stage with some amazing leaders and trailblazers. And we're going to make this happen. We're going to make history. We're going to have a fair system. We're going to have public safety that's not conditioned upon the incarceration of people of color. And we're not going to let the powerful and privileged do whatever they want with impunity. And we can't have a society that doesn't rely on police and prosecution for everything. And that means also holding police accountable. So we're going to be every last day counts here. We have a couple of days left to election, and we're doing well. As some of you might know, we're neck and neck with a Wall Street backed billionaire. So we've got a lot of fight left, but we're doing well. We're going to outwork that money, and we're going to center the voices of people. So thank you again so much. This is such an honor, and I'm really excited to make history with all of you behind us.
Thank you, Tahani, so much for being on. We know you're so busy, and we wish you extreme amount of luck, and we're going to work very hard to get you elected. I'm going to introduce, for the purposes of not skipping the Bronx, but we're going to divert to Queens first. Apparently, you have to go through Queens to get to the Bronx. I never knew this till I started driving. But I'm going to introduce one of the leaders of our chapter called QUIP in Queens, who is also a leader of the Working Families Party chapter in Queens, who has helped in historic elections, and who really is the progressive boss of Queens. I mean, I kid him about that, but he really is making progressives take over Queens. It's Rappy, are you on? I hope.
Hi, George. Hi, everyone.
There he is.
Hey, folks. Can you hear me? Yeah? Amazing. Hi, everyone. My name is Rappy, he, him. I'm with Marva Kerwin. Say hi. We're doing doors right now. We're door knocking. It's so important. So we're doing this while we're door knocking in Astoria for Tiffany, because we believe that Tiffany should win, must win, will win. And I'm just so proud and happy that Our Revolution and NIPAN and our organization and NIPAN has proudly supported Tiffany way back in 2019 when she ran a historic race against the establishment. Tiffany Caban is a public defender, a public defense attorney that has been fighting for the folks who cannot fight the legal system on their own. And it's so amazing that she's running again for city council here in New York City, representing Queens, Astoria, and Ditmars area. I'm super excited to introduce her to y'all. And without further ado, I'm gonna pass it over to Tiffany Caban, running for City Council District 22.
Hey y'all, can you see me or hear me, I guess rather? Am I here?
Yes, we can.
Okay, beautiful. I can't see myself, so hopefully I'm in the screen. First of all, I just want to thank y'all, NIPAN, Our Revolution, for your support. It means the world to me. You threw down with me in 2019, and we came so close. But when folks talk to me about it, I tell them with like wholehearted sincerity that we won in so many different ways. And I look at Rafi and Marva as examples of that. Tonight actually was our 2019 reunion canvas. And our campaign has been committed to movement organizing, movement work, making sure that our campaigns are vehicles for building power in our communities. And so you see folks like Rafi building out organizations like QUIP, like Marva building out DSA in Southeast Queens. And, you know, we ran on this unapologetic message that we had to divorce policing and incarceration from public safety, that we couldn't criminalize public health issues like poverty, mental health, substance use. And so as that work continues, the way we build out that care, that system of care, that robust public health infrastructure, that's right here on the city council level. And now is the moment, because we are at the intersection of multiple crises, right? A global pandemic, a police brutality crisis, and a climate crisis. But the literal definition of a crisis is a turning point. It's an opportunity to mobilize, to organize, to radicalize. It's an opportunity for our revolution. So, you know, I'm really, really proud to be in community with y'all, and looking forward to transforming New York City with all of these dope organizers, all of our organizations. It's good to see y'all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. And Tiffany's door knocking as well. So like if you're not door knocking right now, if you're not phone banking, well, you have to. And that's how we change things. And again, thank you so much, Our Revolution, for endorsing Tiffany. And now we move on to South Queens, wherein our amazing Marva is also organizing there with Rockaway Revolution. And we're just so honored and proud as well for Our Revolution in endorsing Felicia Singh, my dear friend, and an amazing person who's been running to change and to flip the last Republican district in Queens to represent the values that we all espouse as Democrats. I'm so proud of her. She's an educator, and she's a daughter of working class immigrants. Her father is a taxi driver. Her mother is a school bus matron, and she's fighting to change the way we operate our city. It's to really serve the working class in our beautiful city. So I'm gonna pass it over to her. And again, thank you so much, Our Revolution, for endorsing her. And for folks who are watching, if you're not knocking doors, well, you have to. If you're not calling folks, please do. And yeah, I'm passing it over to Felicia.
Hi, everyone. Oh my goodness, I feel like I'm in community with some family. Thank you, Rapi and Marva, for that beautiful introduction. Thank you, Naipan and Our Revolution, for your endorsement. I'm Felicia Singh. I'm running for City Council in District 32 of South Queens. We are one of the most beautiful districts in all of Queens. We're a coastal district. We're home to Forest Park, to Jamaica Bay Wildlife Refuge. We are also a district that is extremely diverse with language and culture and food and ways of life, as well as political affiliation. You know, I ran for office because I want to center working class views in City Hall because it's missing. We're missing centering justice in a real impactful way. Like Rapi said, I'm a daughter of a taxi driver, and taxi drivers have really been facing a deep crisis here in New York City because of our lack of courage to really help our communities when they need it, especially with the medallion crisis. And so when you have candidates who are going into City Hall and understand what it's like to navigate systems that don't work, then we're the perfect people to fix them. And thank you so much for believing in my campaign. I'm actually door knocking right now with my field lead, Maria. We're in Rockaway, we're in Bell Harbor right now. And so all of our time is really spent at doors and making sure that we are doing our very best to reach as many voters as possible. So this is where you all come in. Please phone bank for us. Please door knock if you can, if you live in New York City. We're trying to flip the only Republican district in Queens blue, but we have to win the Democratic primary to do it. I know that you all have our back. Thank you so much for supporting my campaign. I appreciate it. I'm going to turn it back to all of our hosts, but thank you for your time and your trust, and I hope you all continue to lead with courage. I appreciate it. Take care.
Thank you so much. That was like really inspiring. Tiffany, I was like, wow, that's a star. You know, Felicia, I'm just like, I feel like you're my cousin. We could just sit and chat. Really sincere, really wonderful. Thank you guys so much. I'm really excited now to introduce Adolfo Abre, who is running for city council in the Bronx. He's a candidate for city council District 14, home to nearly 170,000 New Yorkers in Fordham, Kingsbridge, Morris Heights, University Heights. Adolfo was raised in his district, and he literally grew up organizing in the district. And he's had some real wins from building and channeling people power in the Bronx and in the Northwest Bronx. So excited to announce Our Revolution and Naipan's endorsement of Adolfo.
All right, so I passed the sound test. Are we good?
You're great.
We're good. Well, thank you all for the endorsement and just supporting the movement that we've been building collectively here in the Bronx. A borough that's always forgotten, a borough who approximately 40, 50 years ago was abandoned by all levels of government, but the people stood. The people decided to, build community gardens, build their own visions of housing. And they said, no, we're going to stay here. We're going to improve our Bronx. And I come from that rich organizing tradition of people who've been trying to improve our educational system, our healthcare system, and creating an economy that works for each and every single one of us in our communities and in our neighborhoods. And for me, I'm 28 years old, raised by a single mom in the Bronx who made $4.50 an hour as a home health aide and had to do everything just to make sure that her and I could survive in the Bronx. I also attended overcrowded schools. My local overcrowded school was so overcrowded that there was not a seat for me, and I had to be bused to a school in the South Bronx. And I say all of those things just to say that it wasn't until I joined the organizing community and family by the name of the Northwest Bronx Community and Clergy Coalition at the age of 11 that I realized that all of us, immigrant working class communities in the Bronx, were facing this crisis. Some of us were struggling with health. Some of us were struggling with employment. If there was an issue, you name it, someone was struggling with it. But that collectively we could come together to bring solutions that center our needs in our communities. And I've been doing this work ever since these last 17 years, whether it was beating back Michael Bloomberg and the related companies when they tried to build a retail shopping mall in the Kingsbridge Armory, whether it was defending student Metro cards, making sure that our young people had access to a free education here in New York City, or lastly, just making sure that we passed the historic rent protections in 2019 that we did under the Housing Justice for All Coalition. And I decided to run in this district because it's my home. We had to make sure that we have leaders who are committed to co-governing with their communities, because more often than not, and people in our neighborhood say it, you only see aspiring candidates or their politicians when it comes to voting time. And once they get into governance, they do a Houdini. And then they reappear when it comes time for re-election with a long laundry list of accomplishments. But during those 4 years or those 2 years, they were never once seen in the streets. So I think it's critically important to build that power with our people because we're struggling. And this district had the highest eviction rates prior to the pandemic, and right now has the highest eviction rates filings in housing court. So we got to guarantee a strong vision of social housing, whether it's through the Community Opportunity to Purchase Act or CLTs, or just making sure that our schools are free of police and our young people are invested in care, and that our schools don't have to be extremely overcrowded. That's all the work that we have to do in front of us as we transform our Bronx, as we transform our city. And I'm just excited to be here with every single one of us in this fight. And I know we're going to win it. 26 days. Thank you.
Thank you, Adolfo. I'm mad he said Houdini. But you know what? I think that Adolfo Abre is somebody who is going to understand the scale of the problems. Kind of like, we get him in there and he knows exactly what it is that we need him to do. I trust that. I believe that. And I wish you all the best. Up next, I want to introduce Amanda Farias. She is running to represent District 18 in the Bronx on the New York City Council. In 2018, she was elected state committee woman for the 87th Assembly District, where she now works to grow participation, drive civic engagement, and foster community. And I'm proud to announce our endorsement of Amanda.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having us all here. I am in awe of all the amazing candidates that have spoken before. Again, my name is Amanda Farias. I am running for City Council in Council District 18 in the Southeast Bronx. I'm a renter, a Teamster, and Afro-Latina, and I'm really proud to be an endorsed candidate of NIPAN, Our Revolution here tonight. We really need a new administration, a new city council that's bold, that's innovative, that's going to be fighters on the front line in a post-pandemic New York, because our communities can no longer afford to lose 10, 20, 2 generations more in a city council or a city that is lacking investments and lacking real representation. We need to be able to fight for our taxi drivers, for our delivery workers, our mom and pop shops, our tenants who deserve justice in this housing crisis, our students, and truly being able to bring progressive leadership here to the Bronx and New York City. I'm platform of fighting for expanded New York City cares, or hopefully we can get our New York State Health Act passed, equitable transit that's not only equitable, but also accessible throughout our communities, especially those outer boroughs, a municipal jobs guarantee, because we really need upward economic mobility, and we need to be focused on how to move people into unionized employment for fair wages, for workers' rights, and for benefits. And we need universal family care, not only to help take care of our children and focus on things programming post the school day, but also to take care of our loved ones and our seniors. I'm really proud to have y'all with me in this fight for the people. You can find more and sign up to help on my website, amandafarias.nyc, that I will drop in the chat. And I'm excited to add our revolution to my extensive endorsements of progressive leaders throughout this city, major labor union organizations, and all of our amazing advocacy organizations that are doing the work on the ground to make sure we have a real partnership to fight for the people. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you so much, Amanda, and thank you so much to all these amazing progressive candidates. Don't forget, for as low as $5 a month, your membership, if you sign up today, will allow us to keep doing this type of work, to support progressive champions and bring attention to these candidates all over New York City and in the state. If you're joining tonight, you are going to get a personalized card in the mail. It's an awesome design. You see it on the slide. Also, I put it in the chat a couple of times throughout the call. We have a phone bank going. Next Thursday, we are starting to call for all of these endorsed candidates. The sign-up link is going to be put again in the chat. Phone banking is great. Training will be provided. It's easy, and it's a great way to connect with other progressives in the city. So sign up, and if you are on the phones, press *3, and an operator will take your details. We are so excited to join our partners at NYPAN in endorsing over 30 candidates in Manhattan, Queens, Brooklyn, and the Bronx. They will champion progressive values in their boroughs and communities. You heard from them today, some of them tonight on this call, but there are more to look for. Go to our website and check out the rest of the progressive champions there. And with that, I'll hand it back over to Brian and Naomi for some closing advice.
Great, thank you. I mean, I think that I personally was really inspired by hearing from all of these people, from hearing from Adolfo, from Amanda, from Billy, everybody. I don't know if I fully appreciated exactly how strong of a progressive slate we have ready. You know, I think this is last summer when we were organizing, we were protesting, this was the vision that we had. And I'm so excited that we still have only 26 days, but we still have an opportunity to do everything we can, leave it all on the field, you know, and really go hard to make sure that we can elect these guys. Thank you guys for running.
Yeah, and I'll just add that, you know, to the many hundreds of people on this call, this is organizing. You know, some of these candidates will win, some of these candidates will lose, but the work continues. And not only is it, you know, getting out the vote for these guys, but it's getting to know them and getting them to know you and staying in touch for the next 10, 20, 30, 50 years as we continue to fight this fight and push these progressive causes and continue to win. So I'm super proud of everyone who stayed on this long, and I'm super proud of the slate of candidates, and really honored to be a part of it.
All right, thank you, Brian. Thank you, Naomi. This was an amazing call. I'm so proud of our local partners, NYPAN. I'm so proud of our local volunteers with Our Revolution. As Brian said, this is organizing. This is what we do. And when we organize, we win. This is our chant. So all of you, please unmute your microphone. It's 8 o'clock on the dot. Let's chant. When we organize, we win.
We win.
When we organize,
we win.